up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Trust Your Boy Podcast. My name is Stephen Wright, joined by Mr. William Monroe. How you doing, Will?
Yo, doing well, Steve. How are you, buddy?
Pretty good. I mean, not from a fantasy perspective, things are pretty bad. But when you go 0 RB and your tight end is, getting you a point, and you can't figure out the quarterback position, and your running back suck as well, then you tend to be in problems, or you tend to have some issues, right?
Definitely not the easiest situation to be in.
No, I would say not. It's
No, it's interesting because you in that league inspired me to be bold enough to take the modified 0 RB approach the next day in another live draft. And team, I'm doing decently well. I think I'm in like third place, 4-3. It's a pretty tight league, but I think my overall team has worked out better, and the running backs that I've picked up have kind of been plug and play better as well.
Yeah. My only saving grace is 4th place through 10th place are all either 4-3 or 3-4. So
it's pretty wide open.
Yeah, 2 wins and you're suddenly like firmly in a playoff spot. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it worked out. I think I moved from like 9th place or 8th or 9th place all the way up to 5th place this week, just from being one of the few people that have won in that 3-3 range.
Shouldn't be a blink of an eye. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, enough about us. You ready to jump into some start-sit questions here?
Yeah, let's get it started.
Cool. Yeah, quarterback as always. Usually head-to-head. Not too often we get 3 quarterbacks in one question, but here we are. Heineke at Indy. Trevor Lawrence versus the Broncos, or Mr. Russ Wilson, assuming he plays, at Jacksonville.
Tough matchup, obviously, against the Broncos, but I think it's Lawrence pretty easily for me here. Definitely not playing Heineke. The Indy defense is pretty good. He didn't look great last week, despite coming away with a win there against was it Green Bay, right?
Yeah.
Despite the win, I think he had a few turnovers and just weren't thrilled to play him. Yeah, now 2 touchdowns, 1 pick, 200 yards. I feel like he may have fumbled because Fantasy Pros gives him about 15 points. Quarterback 13 on the week, but going on the road in Indy, I feel like Indy's going to try to control the clock, and this could be a running game on both sides. So it comes down to Lawrence and Russ, which I have in 2 different leagues, both that combination, because of the Russell Wilson debacle that we're seeing here. And I'm leading starting Lawrence here against the Broncos rather than Russ on the flip side. But it's close. What about you?
I'm with you. I'm not doing Heineke. There's no way. And then Russ, you don't want to start him when he's quote unquote healthy. I'm definitely not starting him, coming off of the hamstring injury. So yeah, I'll go with Lawrence, and it's one of those matchups where definitely any one of them could be the one. Like it could, if it's Heineke, it wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, I'm just not going to place my bets there, So I'll take Mr. Lawrence.
Yeah, highest yardage total of the year for him too, breaking 300 this week. Only the 1 touchdown, but still good enough for QB7, 300 yards and 1 touchdown.
Yeah, solid.
Yeah,
QB7.
But yeah, like I said, tough matchup against Denver, but keep an eye out for Trevor because he's got Vegas and Kansas City coming up, but they're both plus matchups for quarterbacks, and then the bye. So 2 good matchups after Denver.
Yeah, there you go. Good call out.
Yeah. Going to the next matchup here. Daniel Jones at Seattle. Kirk Cousins versus the Cardinals.
Yeah. This is it's an interesting one because Daniel Jones is pretty good for fantasy. And you don't know what you're going to get out of the Cardinals in their offense. I think I lean Cousins. But I don't know. I don't know why. I think I lean Cousins just because I'm so stuck on like the bad name that is Daniel Jones. But
and the pretty good name that has been Kirk Cousins too. Going into this year.
Yeah, I just looking at like teams that can fight back, like the Seattle offense has been interesting. So maybe that's a more interesting game where the Cardinals offense hasn't been. so maybe it's a less interesting game. I don't know. I'm my gut says Cousins, so I'm going Cousins.
Yeah, I think it's close, and I think maybe like pure upside, you can go Cousins. Just I think I'm really only starting him because I'm hoping maybe this is a 200-yard, 2-touchdown Justin Jefferson game, and Kirk Cousins is going to get all of that, and you hope he can get a little bit more. But he's only been inside the top 10, not counting top number 10 once this year. He's been 10, 12, 13, and then in the 20s. We've actually seen a little bit more consistency out of Daniel Jones. He's been inside the top 10 twice, 3 and 8, but he's not been outside of the top 22, only once outside of the top 20. And he's got some rushing baseline. Week 6, he only had 6 yards, but he's been double-digit yards every other time. He's carried the ball 6 times or more every single game, and made double-digit carries now 3 times. So I like the rushing upside of Daniel Jones, which is crazy to say, and he's hasn't had a ton of passing yards, only broke 200 twice, but only been under 100 once, which was not bad if you're getting those rushing yards. So I think, I'm going to take what I think could be a pretty good game there, and Daniel Jones at Seattle.
Yeah, don't blame me at all. Next one, pretty interesting. Dak versus the Bears or Geno versus the Giants. Who are you taking there?
Yeah, another one that's, big name versus what we think to be a pretty good matchup there. Geno Smith, decent matchup against the Giants. Giants defense has been playing pretty well, though. And Geno, outside of one early game, has been inside the top 20 every week. He had that on-fire stretch where he finished QB7, QB2, QB4. But then came back down to earth a little bit the last 2 weeks, QB19, QB15. I think that is a tough New York Giants defense. So I'm definitely not starting Geno, right? There's going to be situations where you can, but I'm going to go with the upside of Dak, in a matchup that I think it's actually 2 pretty good defenses going head to head there with Chicago and Dallas. But I'm going to go, here at home going into the bye week. I think Dallas, needs to score some points there. Who knows? Maybe it is a run control game, but I'll take the upside of Dak Prescott there.
Yeah, I think I am going to lean on that run control game script and go with Geno because of it. Dak was up against a terrible defense last week and really didn't do a lot. And maybe that's the game plan of like, hey, have him back in the Lions. He gets in the groove of things. We don't use him a lot. We rely on the run. The next week, do the same. Then you get a bye week, get some rest, and then, fully healthy, you can unleash him after that, blah, 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 blah. That would be my worry and assumption. So because of that, I will go with Geno, who I mentioned earlier. That Giants-Seattle matchup could be pretty interesting. And we've seen plenty of Geno or upside from Geno in the past this year. So, maybe that shows itself again. I'll go with Geno here.
All right. Moving on to the running back position, full PPR. 2 guys that don't catch the ball very often either, so maybe a little more limited. Gus Edwards at Tampa Bay, Brian Robinson at Indianapolis.
Yeah, this is I find this one to be tough. Like I maybe just because Gus had a big week coming back, but you can't bank on the dude getting 2 touchdowns every week. And it gets a good Tampa defense, defense. So I think I'm going to lean Brian Robinson and just the workload he's getting. I do think Gus probably has more upside, but I think a lower floor too, where if he doesn't score a touchdown, you're gonna be less happy with him than you would be with Brian Robinson. So I'm taking Brian Robinson here. Curious on your thoughts, though.
I think it's close. I'm not thrilled about either because I think they both have pretty tough matchups. But I'll go Gus Edwards. I think you're banking on a touchdown from both teams, and I'm more confident that we're going to get more scoring out of Baltimore than you're going to get out of Washington. I think that's the big thing for me. Both guys are your kind of first and second down running backs, but maybe not going to be using the passing game very often. I worry about more people coming in to spell Brian Robinson because even though you have the passing down back there in J.D. McKissick, you're also going to get blank on his name right now. The other Washington running back.
McKissick.
Gibson.
Yep.
Yeah, Gibson. McKissick's going to catch the ball, but Gibson's going to get involved and he's going to get some carries on top of that as well. So I worry a little bit more about the usage. I mean, obviously, Brian Robinson got a ton of carries, but Indy's a good defense. Don't think the scoring opportunities are there and maybe a little more limited where I do think you're going to see Gus face even more in. He didn't play all the snaps to start. They were working him back into the game. I think he's going to get even higher usage, even though he had 16 carries to get a target, only 66 yards. But you think that should improve as you go along. Once again, another tough defense in Tampa, but I just think that offense is so versatile. It's not your traditional running offense. You're going to have Tampa have to honor Lamar as a rusher. So, yeah, for me, it's going to be Gus Edwards, but it's close, and I don't think you're thrilled on either end, but ideally that's like a RB2 flex option.
Okay. Half point PPR here, Will. Swift, assuming he's playing versus the Dolphins, and Ramondre Stevenson at the Jets.
I think it's pretty easily Swift here, assuming he's playing, assuming we hear, good things from him as we go along. Stevenson's obviously looked pretty good, but they are splitting carries. Obviously had I think he scored. He had 8 catches this week, so you'd love to see that, but I don't know that you can count on that. He had almost 100 yards, but the 8 catches I think really put him over the top. Touchdown really helped as well. Whereas I think you can count on something like that out of DeAndre Swift. Obviously not a great matchup there. The Dolphins are pretty good, but I think if he's back, they're only going to use him if he's fully back and healthy. And you'll see Jamal Williams used, but Swift is the clear one, whereas I think it's a 1A, 1B there in New England. And the Jets defense has played really pretty well as well. So that's a little more stingy of a defense than I think people would realize.
Yeah, this one, it is tough. Like, Swift is the one that he's the high profile one that I really want to be starting, but, just coming back, Lions offense hasn't looked right. I don't know. At the same time, Jamal Williams just fumbled, and I'm blanking on his name, the coach. He's not going to be happy about that. That's a big problem for him. So
not going to be thrilled about the fumbling, but if you saw Hard Knocks, he did mention that he really does trust Jamal Williams. Yeah. I think Jamal has a longer leash than most, but still, I mean, if Swift is back, I think he's the guy. We saw them clicking in the games that he was around, and then when he got hurt there in week 3, the offense did start to sputter a little bit.
Yeah, fair. That's fair. See, I think I would still lean the Swift side. I worry about him coming back, having a limited, workload or something like that. But DeAndre Swift, I mean, if he's playing, you got to give him the ball. And the Patriots offense is just one weird kind of situation right now. So I'm just going to stay away from that. I will go with DeAndre Swift.
All right. That moves on to our last running back here. PPR pick 2 and or sit 1. We've got Dameon Pierce versus the Titans, Leonard Fournette versus the Ravens, Kenneth Walker versus the Giants.
This is a good problem to have.
Great problem to have.
Yeah, you have some real solid options here. I don't know. Like, I feel like I should be locking in Fournette as the guy I trust the most just to get a ton of volume. And I don't know, these 3, I know Titans run defense is bad, I think. I don't know where the other 2 stand. I think I'm going to go with Fournette and Pierce just because I feel like the Giants might have the better run D out of them. I could be wrong. I don't have the numbers in front of me. I'll look that up while you're giving your answer. But for right now, tentatively, I'm going with Pierce and Fournette.
Yeah, all solid options. But I don't know that I can sit Walker right now. He seems to be really on a tear. I mean, the last 3 weeks, 8 for 88 and a touchdown, 21 for 97 and a touchdown with a couple catches, and then 23 for 168 and 2. We know that once their head coach gets going, gets a guy, he will use that guy, and it seems like Kenneth Walker has earned Pete Carroll's trust, and he is just, he is rolling. So until we see anything change, I think you have to fire up Walker and not look back. Fournette and Pierce is tough as well. Fournette has been good, and he's really been one of the few bright spots of the offense. I mean, this last week, not so much, only 5 points, but he is in double digits in in a, what are we looking at, half PPR here? Yeah, so he's been, let's see, double digit scoring just about every week outside of week 2, and then this most recent week 7. So you're happy with the production you're getting out of him just about every week, despite the offense not being great. And obviously, a lot of that's been the receiving game that you don't usually expect out of him. Whereas Pierce, I think they're going to have to use him, but I am a little, I don't know, it's tough between those two. He's been getting the work as well. I think I might actually sit Fournette here. It's until we see that offense get right. They've sputtered and looked bad. Whereas Pierce has been getting the volume on Houston, and someone's got to do it. And I just can't say Walker at this point.
I have changed my answer as well. I'm going Pierce and Walker. I have the information for you as far as fantasy points against. Number 1 being the worst defense, number 32 being the best defense against the running back. The Ravens are the worst out of the 3. They are the 16th easiest. The Giants are next. They are the 22nd easiest. And then I was very wrong. The Titans are the 25th easiest, or in other words, one of the harder teams against running backs. So I don't change my answer because I definitely had them mixed up. I will go with the Giants and the Ravens. I mean, Fournette and Walker there.
Playing defense.
Yeah. But again, the fantasy points against, and positional defense doesn't always tell the whole story, right? Like these, at the end of the day, 3 really good options, right? Pick the guy that you believe in, I guess, right?
Exactly.
Trust your
That's
board.
what it comes down to. Yeah, there it is.
Stupid plug. Yeah, there you go.
You did it. You did the thing.
Yeah, congrats to us. Moving on here. Wide receiver PPR will Olave versus the Raiders or CeeDee Lamb versus the Bears?
I think I have to go CeeDee Lamb here. I mean, obviously both very good options. Lamb, I think you're pretty much lock and loading most weeks. Obviously back with Dak here. 4 catches, 70 yards on 6 targets. Didn't get in the end zone, but you'll live with that. 11 points in fantasy, and you're just banking on him getting back to what you expected with Dak. It's good to see Olave back, but we don't even know who the quarterback's going to be yet. I think they're still TBD. Obviously, 7 for 106 was great, and I think ideally you want to find a way to get both of these guys in your lineup, but I'm just going to take the upside of Lamb here. But both of them I think are great matchup for Olave as well. So I think this is a really tough one, and one that I think in most cases you're probably playing both of these guys.
Yeah, we're looking to put ourselves in a situation where we'd be able to start with these guys, aren't we?
Yeah. We are hoping to do that.
We'll see in the coming weeks if we can get a trade done. But I'm with you. I'll go with Lamb here as well. But echo everything you said. Like, no issue with either. If you're an Olave, you want to roll that, I'd go with Olave. But personally, I'd probably go Lamb.
All right. Next up, we have half point PPR. Michael Thomas versus the Raiders, or Devonta Smith versus the Steelers.
Would this be Michael Thomas's first game back?
He hasn't played in a bit.
Right? That's what I thought. I'm not starting him. A weird quarterback situation. First week back. Devonta Smith's coming off a bye. I'm going Devonta Smith. That one's pretty easy to me, I think.
Yeah, I think I'm right there with you. I mean, do we even know that Michael Thomas is definitely playing?
No idea. I feel zero news on Michael Thomas. Let me, I will look it up real quick while we.
I mean, yeah, even so, first game back, I don't think I'm thrilled to play him. I'll take Devonta Smith versus the Steelers, and what usually is, one or the other, ends up getting it done. So you imagine there's a good chance he has a decent baseline. He definitely does have, pretty low baseline if all the targets go to the other 2 main targets in Goddard and Brown, but there's a very good chance he has, moderate game, or he could be the one that blows up. So I'll take Smith here. But
I see
yeah, any
no
info?
I see no information on Michael Thomas. He was ruled out last Wednesday for last week's game, but they were the Thursday game, so he's had a lot of time off.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I don't see any updates here.
All right. Next up here, we have standard scoring. Don't see that too often here. Rashad Bateman at Tampa, Michael Pittman versus the Commanders, and Wan'Dale Robinson at Seattle.
This one's easy for me. I'll go Bateman. Something, seems to be up with Andrews. Maybe it'll be better by the game time, but for now, something's up there. I am not trusting Pittman right now with a new quarterback coming in for Indy, so no. And then Wan'Dale's not a bad start. Again, we've talked about that game a couple times, but when you're looking at Baltimore, who may have one real passing option and then a decoy in Andrews, I'll go with that situation over Wan'Dale's situation. How about you?
I think it's tough. I mean, because Bateman, I think we're also coming off the injury. Wan'Dale's obviously getting some targets, so I mean, standard scoring. Obviously, you're kind of banking on a touchdown or like big play. Bateman, I see he's still listed as questionable, so. Yeah, I mean, until we see it with him, it looks like he missed practice again today. I don't love it with him if he's not healthy. So it's tight for me with Pittman and Wan'Dale. I think I'm just going to go with the talent and start Pittman here, though. Obviously, Sam Ehlinger, first, young quarterback. Don't know what you're going to get out of him, but I think I would much rather take that risk and, bank on just getting at least something. And who knows, maybe they end up just working the run more and Pittman can just get involved in more, lower passing game. But I had a feeling they're going to go downfield a little more. We didn't see it much with Matt Ryan, and couldn't get much worse than it was with Matt Ryan, right? So I think there's a good chance you see, maybe almost a better offense with Sam Ehlinger. Not a great offense, but better offense. So I'll take Pittman here.
Okay. Last one here, Will. Flex, PPR, Curtis Samuel at Indy, Nyheim Hines versus the Commanders, Damon Harris at the Jets, or Paris Campbell versus the Commanders.
Yeah, don't love a ton of these options. I'm not playing Campbell. I'm not riding that train there. And how has Hines been? I know he got the injury there. Has he bounced back at all? I think he played this week, but I haven't seen much from him.
I mean, he's kind of in the same boat. I'm not sure. So last week he had, in our half point, 6.8 points. Looks like he had 4 attempts, 2 yards. I don't see the passing work, but also, as a passing, running back, he is going to rely on what, the new quarterback does. So he's going to be impacted there more than like a JT does. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I just go Harris here. I don't get too cute with it. Obviously neither the running backs are great pass catchers. We saw Stevenson get a lot of pass catching, but I think Damian Harris is the clearly best player here, and he's got a decent matchup against the Jets. They've been playing better, but I'll take Damian Harris here, amongst the three.
Okay, fair enough. We'll move over to the trade portion of the show here. We'll start with our dynasty questions. We got a 2 QB here. Trevor Lawrence or a 23 first and a 23 third?
Yeah, I think the 2 QB makes all the difference here. I mean, you could maybe make the argument in the standard league if you wanted to shore up that position since he's looked good, but in what amounts to be a super flex or even more difficult than a super flex 2 QB, I think a first and a third is a great price for Trevor Lawrence. I probably may want more given that he's finally showing it now, but 2 QB, you want those good young quarterbacks. So I'm locking that in here with 23 first and 23 third, and I'll take Lawrence.
Yeah, same logic. That's an easy one for me, I think. Now, Will, what if just in theory, this first belongs to a team that is currently 0-7? Does that change?
0-7. Yeah, I mean, it's tough because there is some really good quarterbacks coming out, and Breece Hall. Breece Hall. Bryce Young. But you just never know how it's going to be at the end of the year. It's tough to trade that, but I guess in this case, it's probably not a team that is 0-7. They maybe just somehow have that first round pick. It's definitely a lot closer. I think I may still lean the Lawrence side, but the what looks to be probably the 101 or at least the top few pick is definitely pretty enticing there. I guess it just depends on what your quarterback situation looks like.
Yeah, fair enough. Next one here, Will, half point PPR. Straight up, Chris Godwin or Devonta Smith?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I think I lean Godwin, but man, at this point, the future looks much better for Smith, paired with what looks to be an ascending quarterback in Jalen Hurts, whereas Godwin is now kind of locked in with an older Brady that doesn't look great. I think I would go Smith in this situation here. Rest of season, I think Godwin probably has better stats just because, the passing game isn't maybe fully there. But yeah, for dynasty purposes, I think Smith is a very good get there for Godwin.
Yeah, I agree. I don't really know how to feel about Godwin. So younger, very talented. He's been injured. You don't know what the quarterback situation is going to be in the future. It's very weird. So yeah, I'm with you. I'll take Devonta Smith pretty easily, I think.
All right. Dynasty Superflex. Travis Etienne, Deontay Johnson, and a 23 first-round pick for Jonathan Taylor and T. Higgins.
This is probably not enough for Taylor alone. Like, would I give up Taylor for Etienne, Deontay Johnson, and a first, and a super flex? So the first is a little bit more valuable. I don't think I would. I mean, Etienne's looking really good. I don't think I would. So and even, with that debate in mind, it would be close, I guess, in which case Higgins would easily put it over. So I'll go JT and Higgins.
Yeah, I think that's pretty easy as well. I mean, it's just, you could, say Higgins is better than Deontay going forward, and probably this year, JT and Etienne may be close, but, this year you're probably still banking on Taylor. So I just don't think the first gets it done. Maybe you take the running backs out and you can say, 23 first and Deontay for Higgins. I think that's maybe more arguable. You could lean the Deontay first side, that one, but going forward, the offense is better and Higgins is younger. So you may make that argument without the running backs, but yeah, I just think it's too much with the running backs involved.
Okay. And then 2 more questions going into the world of redraft here. 10-team PPR. AJ Brown for Etienne and Amari Cooper.
That's a tough one. I think I probably lean the Etienne and Cooper side. One of the few times I would take the package here. I mean, Etienne gets a boost now, not having James Robinson on the team anymore. Cooper is inching his way closer to getting that top level quarterback. Hopefully, we'll see when he comes back. AJ Brown looks, like a bona fide stud, but if you really need running back, I think this is a good downgrade from Brown to Cooper to get that Etienne running back.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. Etienne is ascending, and that's a good thing to have on your team. And I'm okay taking that downgrade from, AJ Brown to Amari Cooper to pull that off. So yeah, I'm right there with you.
All right. And then finally here, 14-team PPR redraft. Deebo Samuel and Ezekiel Elliott, or Cortland Sutton and Alvin Kamara.
This is one where I think the size of the league actually impacts me a little bit here. Because looking it over, originally I think I wanted Zeke and Deebo. I didn't want to do the downgrade from Deebo to Sutton with the Russ issues and everything else going on. But then in a 14-team league, it's very rare to get your top tier running backs, and that can really make a difference for you. So I think because of that, I'm going to switch it up and I'm going to go with Kamara. I want him on my team. He's a big difference maker in such a big league. And, I'm more secure with him where I don't want to be worrying about Zeke every week. And, he has a down week and Pollard has a good week. And what's that going to look like moving forward? And I just don't want to play that game. So yeah, I'll take the Kamara side. How about you? I'm interested in your opinion here.
Yeah, I think it's actually really close because I do like the Zeke, the schedule going forward. Obviously, coming up on the bye soon, but schedule looks good. Obviously, the team got better in San Francisco at Debo, but maybe that takes some of the usage away with McCaffrey there. Whereas, Cortland Sutton, I think vibes are down a little bit because Russ isn't looking great, and Alvin Kamara, that team, the offense isn't looking good overall, but he's still a stud. So I think this is a pretty fair trade if you need to win. Maybe right now the Zeke Debo side makes more sense, but I think in the long run, especially in a 14-team league for the end of the year run, Kamara and Sutton makes more sense just because running backs are so valuable in that deep of a league.
That makes sense, and that wraps up the trade portion and the show in general. Will, do you have any closing words there?
Yeah, good luck everyone as we get closer here to fantasy football playoffs. Man, we're going into week number 8, which is crazy to think already. Halfway through the regular season. And always make sure to get those flex Thursday night players out of the flex and into your starting lineup.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, good luck everyone. Tune in next week. Another waiver show, another start sit show. And until then, trust your board.